Before we start the movie, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our new content. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, you'll find the link in the description box. The movie begins with a family of 4 living a luxurious life together. We are then introduced to the father, Don, and the mother, Mona, who have 2 children, Allison and Andrew. Soon we discover that Mona is a controlling woman whose word is always final. She also suffers from obsessive-compulsive disorder, where everything must be measured to perfection. Even her marital relationship with her husband is scheduled on the timetable she created. As for her children, she constantly threatens them with severe punishment if they disobey, to the point where they must always be top of their class, even if it costs them everything else. Despite all this, Don remains silent and patient so that life can go on. We later learn that Don is the manager of a large furniture showroom, which actually belongs to Mona, who inherited it from her father after his death. One day, the showroom announces new job openings, and a young woman named Dusty applies for an interview with Don. The moment he sees her, his heart skips a beat, captivated by her beauty and charm. After she leaves, he tells his colleague and neighbor, Liz, how happy he is that this girl will be working with them. It also becomes clear that Liz, too, feels suffocated and unhappy in his marriage. At the same time, a strange man appears who has just killed someone. When he sees Don's showroom ad on TV, he starts focusing on him as if studying his every move. We then learn that he and his gang are watching Don and his wife. As time passes, Don grows increasingly bored with his life and begins to be drawn toward Dusty, until one day he confesses his feelings to her, and she admits she feels the same. Their relationship deepens until they have an affair, which further strains Don's already troubled marriage. A few days later, Mona hosts a party for the employees at her home. During the party, Dusty approaches Don and tells him that she is pregnant, shocking him to his core. He urges her to have an abortion, but she refuses and demands that he acknowledge the child. That night, Don confides in his friend Liz, who suggests giving Dusty money to keep her quiet. But then comes an even bigger shock. We discover that Dusty is actually the girlfriend of Murphy, the gang leader who has been spying on Don. Murphy regularly sends Dusty to seduce wealthy men so they can later blackmail them for money. But this time, Dusty seems to have truly fallen for her target. The next day, Don follows Liz's advice and gives Dusty $13,000 to end the affair, but she cries and insists she isn't a prostitute to be bought off. Don grows more anxious, fearing his whole life will collapse. After Dusty leaves, Murphy harshly scolds her and orders her to return to Don and demand $25,000 instead. Dusty obeys and tries to extort him again, but this time Don decides to come clean and confess everything to Mona. To his surprise, Mona remains perfectly calm and simply asks if he still loves her. Don assures her that he loves her and their children, and is willing to do anything to fix his mistake. Suddenly, Mona's demeanor changes completely. She reminds him of everything she has done for him and then demands that he kill Dusty to free himself from her blackmail. While they are still talking, Dusty calls again to ask for the money. Mona orders Don to tell her he agrees. After the call ends, Mona gives him 2 choices, either divorce her or kill Dusty. Don now finds himself torn. He cannot bring himself to kill someone, but at the same time, he cannot risk losing his family and his job. The next day, before Dusty arrives to take the money, Mona manages to convince Don to kill her in order to save their family from ruin. She brings out a large dose of drugs and tells him to put it in Dusty's drink. Don sees no other choice but to agree to his wife's plan. That evening, when Dusty arrives, Don welcomes her and offers her the drug drink. As soon as she drinks it, she begins to feel dizzy and eventually collapses unconscious. At that moment, Mona appears and tells Don to put her in the trunk of the car. When they arrive home, Don is shocked to find that Dusty is still alive, and even more horrified when Mona laughs and asks him to bring her a hammer. After he brings it, she orders him to correct his mistake. When he refuses, she tells him to open the trunk, and she takes matters into her own hands. They unload Dusty's body, and Mona proceeds to dismember it to erase any evidence. Don cannot handle the sight and rushes to the bathroom to vomit. A few days later, Murphy begins to worry about Dusty's disappearance and her silence on the phone. The following morning, before Don leaves for work, he is stunned to see his son talking with Murphy outside the house. He hurries over, but Murphy has already left, leaving behind a note with the boy asking Don to meet him. That night, Don goes to meet Murphy, who asks about Dusty. Don lies, saying he gave her the money and hasn't seen her since. Murphy doesn't believe him and threatens to kidnap his wife and children unless Don pays him $20,000. When Mona hears this, she devises a plan and tells Don they must move Dusty's body. At night, Don calls Murphy to make sure he's not home, then he and Mona go to Murphy's house. There, Mona opens the refrigerator and hides parts of Dusty's body inside. Unfortunately, one of Murphy's men arrives with his girlfriend at that very moment. Mona rushes to the kitchen, grabs a knife, and kills them both before escaping. Before dying, the man manages to call Murphy and tell him what happened. At the same time, Mona calls the police using a phone she bought with fake information, reporting suspicious activity at Murphy's house. When Murphy arrives home, he is shocked at the scene. Opening the fridge for a drink, he discovers Dusty's remains and realizes he has been trapped by Don and his wife. Just then, the police arrive, killing Murphy's assistant, though Murphy manages to escape through a secret door beneath the house. That same night, Don asks his wife about her past, feeling that some tragic childhood event must have shaped her behavior. But Mona insists her parents were perfect and never hurt her. Suddenly, she breaks down crying, and Don hugs her, only for her to threaten him, saying she will kill and dismember him if he ever asks about her past again. The next day, Mona's condition worsens, and she plans to get rid of Liz's son after he hits her son during play. Shortly after, the police arrive at Don's home, informing him of Dusty's murder and that they have arrested one of the perpetrators. The officer also tells him that a witness saw Don visiting Dusty before her death, leaving Don no choice but to admit his affair with her. He also explains that Murphy had demanded money in exchange for not revealing the truth to Mona. While they are speaking, the neighbor's dog enters Don's house. Mona furiously drives it away and warns its owner. The next day, on Andrew's birthday, Don is horrified to find the neighbor's dog dead and stuffed in their fridge. Later, Mona notices Andrew losing a game against Liz's son. She angrily accuses the boy of using drugs. After the party, Don is even more shocked when Mona insults the boy's mother. At that moment, their daughter Allison takes the stick from her brother and breaks the game to make him the winner. Mona then yells at Andrew while praising Allison and hugging her. Seeing this, Don's heart sinks as he fears Allison will grow into a copy of her mother. Don finally loses patience and decides to put an end to his wife's madness. He goes to the garage, wires the electrical system to spark when the light is switched on, and opens a gas cylinder to fill the garage with gas. Then he asks Mona to fetch some meat from the fridge in the garage. As soon as she goes inside, Don quickly leaves the house. The moment Mona switches on the light, the garage explodes, killing her instantly. At last, Don can live a peaceful life away from his wife's rules. But one day, while driving with his children, Murphy appears and follows them. Soon after, gunshots are heard, and it is revealed that Don has been killed by Murphy. And so the movie ends. If you enjoyed the movie, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new content.